Let's discuss today pure functions and impure functions. So, before going through the definition, let me create a project and let's do it with example first. So, let me create one project. So, I'm creating a project with the impure and impure functions, and it's a Java project, IntelliJ. That is okay. OpenJDK, you can select anything. So, let's create a project. So in this project, okay, we have project, and in this project we have main function, main class, and inside the main class we have a main method. Okay, so now let's think about it. Let's say we have another class. So let me create another class with name other class. Okay, inside this class we have some member variable. So let me create one member variable int I, and let's see, we have one method here. So that's a public method which returns int, and let's say add value. So this is my method name, and inside this method name I am taking one parameter from user, so which is in j. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to return the value of this method by adding this with I. So before adding it to I, let's say I have initialized this variable with value 10. Okay. Now, so let's do it. Let's use this method first, and then we will see like how I'm going to distinguish between pure method and impure method. So let's go to main class, and let's say I have removed this, and to use other classes method I have to create one instance of this class. So with keyword new, and to use this method I have to access through the object of this method. So let's say add value, and here I'm passing 5, and since this returns the integer value, I can print that value by using system.out.println, and I can enclose within this. Let's try to run this. So what should be the output? So the predictable output is when I'm passing 5, and if I go to other class, I'm passing 5 value, and the value of I here is 10 already. So 10 plus 5 is 15. So the predictable output is 15, right? So here the output is 15. So now I create another method. So let me copy this, paste, and I create another method with name subtract value. So what I'm going to do is that I want to subtract the value from I. So let's save it and move here and copy this and paste. Right, so let's say I have passed here 5 into subtract value method. So what it is going to do is it will be subtracting 5 from 10. So 10 is initial value of I. So if I run this, so when I pass 5 and add value, and I's initial value is 10, so it will be returning 5, and I value in this class, instance variable I value in this class has value 10, and if I pass here 5, then I get value 5. So this is my predictable output. Now what happens if I when I'm doing this add value, right? And if I change the value of I, so let's say I have done 5, okay, and if now I run the program, my main function, then what will be the value? So the value here is 10 because I'm passing 5, and I'm adding 5 plus 5 because I've changed the value of I in this other class, and it is adding 5 into i's value. So now 5 plus 5 is 10, and I'm subtracting 5 from the I value. So I has been changed by this method, and I has become 5 now, right? So I is not anymore 10 because I have changed the value from this method, right? So now if I do like this, that if I copy this sys out, and if I paste it here, right? So see, these two lines are identical, this subtract value and this subtract value, but the output of this line will be different from this line, right? So if I run this, the output of this line is 5, then it added value 5, it becomes 10, and then the output of third line, while these two lines are identical, right? Why this happened? Because in this method I have changed the state of the object. So other class, when it calls add value, it has changed the value of I, right? So here is the definition, that if your method is changing the state of your variable, state of your object, then we call it impure method. So here I say this impure method because it is changing the state of the state of the object, right? Which is indirectly impacting my another method, because impacting the output of my another method, because if I pass any value in this method before calling this, the output is different. But if I call this first and then I call this, then the output is different, as we have seen here, right? First time the output is different, and when I call this after calling add value, then output becomes 0 because this method already changed the state of the object, right? So this method also becomes impure function. Why? Because this method is also dependent on value of I. That means the functions which has side impact are impure functions, right? So like in this method, it is changing the state of an object, and in this method, this the the functioning of this method is dependent on the state of this method. So these are the impure functions, right? While if I do like this, add value pure method int j int k, and if I add these value and return the output of the addition of these values. So if I go here and if I do system dot out dot println, and if I do 5 comma 5, right? I'm sorry, I haven't called the method directly. Putting values will not work here in this case. 5 comma 5, right? So it is showing me that in j I'm passing 5 and in k I'm passing 5, and if I run this, so my output is 10, right? Because the output of this method is completely dependent of what value I'm passing, right? It is not dependent on the state of the object. So if I copy this and if I paste it anywhere, right? Let's say here, if I paste it and if I run it, so my output will be same, right? So if it is 10 here and after anything like any state change, I have again the 10 output. So that means whenever I'm calling my method on the basis of input, the output is same, always same. So let's go to the, so this is we call the pure function, right? So pure function means if my function does not have any side impact, right? And it does not change the state of the object, then we call it a pure function, okay? And if it is dependent on state of the object and it or it changes the state of an object, then it becomes the impure function. So let's go by definition once. So the simple definition is an impure function is a function that contains one or more side effects. A pure function is a function without any side effects that we have already understood through example. And here So what are the advantages of pure functions? So pure function do not affect any external state, and they also not affected by external codes, right? So that we understood that it does not affect the external state. That means it does not change the state of an object, and also doesn't get affected by the state of an object, right? So this is, you can say, one way it is a definition and also the advantage of it. Second is readability. So readability means pure functions are easier to read. So in our case, like the pure function we have, right? We know that whatever input we are passing here, it is going to add this, right? While in this case, if I try to read this function, I see that okay, whatever value I am passing, it is getting subtracted from I, but I don't know I. So for I have to go here to check what is I, right? What is I's value? And I also have to consider that if I run this in between, then state of I will be changed, right? So that is why we call it like this is not readable. This is also not readable because I have to see like what is I first here. Okay, I was 10 and I change the state of I and then I'm adding this, right? So there is no readability in impure function, while in pure function there is the readability. And next, let's see what others we have detailed. These all details we don't have to go through. So for this one, I think you have got an idea, and other things you can explore from net. So I hope you I was able to explain it in a better way, and now you got a clear understanding of what pure function is and impure function is. So stay tuned and thank you for joining. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you.